A dangerous situation is unfolding for Florida as Idalia continues to intensify and is currently not far from hurricane strength. Also, the National Hurricane Center continues increasing the peak intensity expected before Idalia moves inland, and now it is expected to become a major hurricane, although I think that it will be much stronger than what the current forecast calls for. So we will be delving straight into what is going on with the storm. Additionally, we will be talking about Franklin, which is now the first major hurricane of the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season. Additionally, we'll be looking at what is happening across the Caribbean, the rainfall forecast, as well as an upcoming disturbance that will be off the African coast. And before I go into details, please do subscribe if you haven't yet done so and tap the bell so that you never miss an important update. Okay, so first things first, we want to quickly go on to this map coming from NHC. This is as of 2 a.m. this morning. There we can see Hurricane Franklin up there, Idalia in the Northwest Caribbean, and also we have that shaded area off the coast of Africa, and we're seeing this shift. So somewhat of a northwestward track is expected of the system and not merely just a westward track whenever that tropical wave emerges, and the chances in the medium range now at a 40% that we could see some development take place over the course of the next 7 days. But now let's head on to our tropical cyclones. We're going to be starting out with Franklin, and here is a look at the hurricane. So we can definitely see that it's symmetrical. We can see that eye, and it is going to further intensify, and it is likely to become a Category 4 hurricane at the maximum. It is currently a weak Cat 3, but nevertheless still a very strong and dangerous hurricane with sustained winds of 115 miles per hour. And we can see some of those rain bands making their way into the Bahamas. So if you're there, you might experience maybe some intermittent showers, but nothing too crazy from the cyclone. And in terms of its movement, it is moving to the north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. So you see that through to tomorrow evening, it is expected to remain a major hurricane. So it's likely to peak late today, probably going into early tomorrow morning, and then should start to gradually weaken as it passes Bermuda and eventually makes its way further out in the North Atlantic, becoming a post-tropical cyclone by the end of this week. No watches nor warnings are out for Bermuda, so the worst of the cyclone is going to be remaining offshore. Nevertheless, it is going to be kicking up the surf, increasing the risk of those recurrents, which can be very dangerous for the East Coast along with Bermuda as well. So please take the necessary precautions in regards to that if you plan to go out to the beach. Okay, now we want to go ahead and take a look at what is going on in the Caribbean. Let's start out with looking a bit to the east. We're seeing that there is some activity here and there. A tropical wave is approaching, and if that should sustain some more thunderstorms, then it could bring some increased rainfall for parts of the eastern islands of the Caribbean. For now, much not happening. A bit of convection near Barbados, and for most islands, it is likely to be a pretty sunny morning today. So going from the ABC Islands all the way through to Hispaniola, even going up into parts of the southern Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, much is not expected. And as we head to Jamaica, though, there is a bit of thunderstorm activity near the island, nothing too crazy, and severe rainfall activity is not expected as we're going to be heading through today. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and look at that, and after which we'll be focusing on Idalia. So here we are taking a look at the rainfall expected by the Euro model between now and going into early tomorrow. And so we can see here that we see some of these shades of purples, pinks, indicating very high rainfall totals, and this is going to be in association with Idalia, and that flood threat is still there for parts of the Yucatan as well as Cuba. So if you're there, guys, I hope that everything is okay, especially in Cuba, where there have likely been periods of very, very heavy rainfall. Even in Belize and Mexico last night, there was a buildup of so much activity in a short amount of time. Likely some heavy rains there, so let me know what has happened for you. But some additional rainfall is likely as we progress through today. For most other areas of the Caribbean, little to no rainfall is expected. And so let's now go ahead and take a look at the cyclone. Let's head further west, and here we are. It is looking pretty decent out there, not far from hurricane intensity. So sustained winds are currently at around 65 miles per hour, and so it is likely to rapidly strengthen before landfall. And so I want to take you guys to the conditions that are out ahead of the system, the shear, the temperatures, the dry air map. So let's go ahead and take a look at the dry air map first. And so as we head from those yellows to the oranges, reds to that pink, that is increasing amounts of dry air in the atmosphere. So off the coast of Africa, there's a lot of dry air right now that's kind of wanting to take over again, but we're gonna see more of these stronger tropical waves coming off as we head into the month of September. Matter of fact, some models such as GFS want to show quite a bit of activity going on out there. So that's what's going to be happening. Not much dry air is ahead of the storm, and so that isn't going to play a huge role in its intensification right now. As we head to the wind shear map, this might be a little bit confusing, but the white outline is the different land areas. There is Central America, there is Cuba outlined right there, and we have Idalia. So right now there is a bit of shear ahead of it. And what is the wind shear? Well, it is wind in the upper atmosphere coming in from the opposite direction, coming in from the west, and it basically helps to cut off and displace all that thunderstorm activity, preventing significant growth and intensification of tropical cyclones. And that is what those red lines indicate, those stronger upper level winds. So when it is very conducive, we see more of those green lines out there. So partially favorable conditions right now might not impact the intensity of Idalia too much, but as we head closer to the time of landfall, as we head to tomorrow, it should be very conducive, and then nothing will be between Idalia and Florida, so it should intensify straight up to the point of landfall. And that is why I think that it is going to be much stronger than 115 miles per hour at the peak. So here are the latest values coming from the National Hurricane Center. So the maximum sustained winds are likely to be 115 miles per hour, which would rank Idalia as a major hurricane. And as I showed you guys in a previous update, I believe it was yesterday morning, where or Saturday evening, where the National Hurricane Center in its initial advisories for many Gulf systems that become major hurricanes does not show it actually being a major hurricane just yet. It is with each passing advisory as the storm intensifies or undergoes rapid intensification when we see that significant change being made. But I think that this could be much stronger than 115 miles per hour. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but if we should look at the water temperatures out there, here we are taking a look at this map, and up to 31 degrees Celsius in the Gulf, especially off the Floridian coast. So this is going to be aiding in a lot of rapid intensifications, and storms have jumped from category to category in no time. The wind shear is going to become more conducive. The dry air isn't really a big issue right now. So I really believe that Idalia will become much stronger than 115 miles per hour. And so if you're in Florida, ensure that preparations are underway, especially if you're in areas to be affected. Let's go on to the cone forecast. Here we can see that hurricane warning is in effect for Pinar del Rio in Cuba. So it is likely that Idalia will be strengthened into a hurricane very soon, maybe as soon as later this morning. And eventually those hurricane force winds are going to be moving on shore and resulting in some more dangerous impacts. The tropical storm warning is still in effect for parts of the Yucatan as well as for Isle of Youth, and even for the dry Tortugas of Florida right now. There you have that little blue spot right there indicating that tropical storm warning. And then for most of western Florida, the peninsula, even going up into the Panhandle, there is likely to be tropical storm and hurricane conditions being felt. So that hurricane watch, which is in pink, that is in effect for Englewood to Indian Pass, including Tampa Bay, and the tropical storm watch that is in yellow in effect for south of Englewood to Chokoloskee, Florida, and the lower Florida Keys west of the west end of 7 Mile Bridge. So Idalia will be unleashing very strong winds, heavy rainfall, significant storm surge, and the possibility of tornadoes across the Sunshine State. And as a matter of fact, a storm surge watch is in effect for Chokoloskee to Indian Pass, including Tampa Bay. So those areas could experience that significant rise in water as the winds of Idalia push the Gulf waters onshore and results in flooding of coastal areas. And such impacts will be during a supermoon, which results in those higher tides. So more significant heights expected as the cyclone makes its way in. So if you live along the coast and you're under that watch, please ensure that you evacuate. Let's hope that no lives are lost, as Idalia is going to be making her approach as we head into the middle of this week. And in terms of where it's going to be experiencing landfall, let's go on to the model track guidance. We can see here that these kind of vary, and even the tiniest amount of shift that we see can make the biggest difference in terms of where experiences landfall. But we see this general northwest region of Florida, along the Big Bend area, where landfall is anticipated, but the exact location is just unknown at this point. But please take the necessary precautions. As I said, please stay safe, please take the necessary measures to protect yourself, your loved ones, your pets as well. And you can even extend a helping hand to someone who is not as fortunate to get as many preparations done. It could be your neighbor, it could be a friend, and hopefully all will be well. But this is a very serious situation that should not be ignored to any degree. Today, going into tomorrow morning, will be that more favorable time of getting preparations done, because as we head to late tomorrow, it is likely that impacts will start in parts of Florida with those rain bands approaching the coast. And so guys, I'll continue to keep you posted on all that is happening with Idalia and the tropics on a whole. And that is pretty much it for this update. So I hope you found it to be quite informative, but if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll respond once I get the chance to, and as always, remember to be weatherwise.